Hello and welcome back to my Instagram Live series where I'm talking to some wonderful female business owners all about the joys of perimenopause. And today I'm hopefully going to be joined by Dee Primett, and I say hopefully because we're having a few tech issues. You know me and tech, don't always get on. I can see Dee's online now, so I'm just going to try and add her. It works. Yes!
There you go. Finally.
I am so sorry, but this has been really useful because now I know that I need to write another checklist to send to people beforehand.
So all we needed to do, all I needed to do was to update the app, clearly. There you go. It
You
does
live
seem
and
to
learn.
it does seem to kind of need a new update. I'm gonna see if I can prop my phone up because I'm using my phone rather than my
Brilliant. While you're doing that, I'll just finish off my intro. So I was just saying that you're joining us today, Dee Primett. So thank you so much. And you are from Wicked Creative, if I've got that right. And today we're talking all about chemical menopause. And I'm going to be very open with you, Dee. I know very little about what chemical menopause is. And I think I'm fairly well educated on menopause and perimenopause. So I imagine if I don't know what it is, then there'll be lots of other people who tune in either during the live or afterwards who also don't know what it is. So that's probably, going to take up a chunk of our sort of questions, really. But to start with, do you want to let us know a little bit about you and what you do as a job, just to get the background bits in, and then we'll dive deeper into the chemical menopause stuff.
Sure. And just to caveat this, I've made a load of notes which are on a bigger screen above me. So if I'm looking above your head, the audience's head, because I'm looking at my notes, because as we know with menopause, brain fog is a real thing. And I'm certainly affected by that. So
And don't worry at all, because I've got my notes by me as well, because I could not get through these lives without them.
I feel a lot better now. So I'm Dee. I'm a freelance communications consultant, strategist, copywriter, and I mainly work with the health and tech industries. Over the last few years, I've done predominantly health stuff, and I'm a bit of an online pharmacy specialist. So I've worked with the likes of Treated.com, the independent pharmacy, Simple Online Pharmacy. So I know my stuff when it comes to kind of health and medical, which helps with conversations like this, and I like to think that my lived experiences come to the fore in the work that I do, and to try and help brands communicate really clearly with a really human voice. And I've been doing this now since 2015, so about 11 and a half years.
Fantastic. And is it just you at the business? Because I noticed on your business Instagram you've got D at Wicked Creative, which I think is great, by the way, because instantly people know who you are and who your business is. But do you have other people working for you, or is it just you?
No, it's just me. I've thought about when I've got really busy, I've kind of thought about expanding a little bit, but I can't be bothered with people management, quite honestly. So no, it's just me, myself, and I.
Wonderful. I love that. So how are you feeling today? Obviously, you've mentioned you're brain foggy.
Bit brain foggy, bit tired. It's very hot in my office, so I work in a converted shipping container, which is lovely, and I love to have my own personal space. Not great when you're like menopausal woman though in the summer, because it gets up to about 40 degrees in here. I've got a fan on one side of me. So if you see me with my little clicker, I'm up and down with my fan. Then in winter, I've got a heater on the other side of me, so to try and kind of balance up the temperatures.
I love that. Brilliant. So Dee, talk to us. What is chemical menopause? Like I said, I know I've heard the term, but I know nothing about it. And how did you come to be in it at the age of 40?
So chemical menopause is basically where you take medications that turn off your ovaries and put you into menopause. That's as simple as it sounds. It's very similar in a lot of respects to surgical menopause, which is where the ovaries are removed, thus therefore putting you into menopause. So for those people that don't know, main hormones are all produced largely by, well, not largely, but partly by your ovaries. So as a woman, if you've got no ovaries, your hormones are messed up. For me, because of various things that happen that I'll get into. I take treatments that switch off my ovaries. They stop them from producing those hormones. So I'm essentially devoid of hormones and therefore in what they class as chemical menopause. And that basically comes from the fact I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 40.
Right, okay. And just for context, how old are you now?
I'm 44 now.
44. Gosh, okay. So still processing, I should imagine.
Still processing. Young for obviously breast cancer. 40 is quite young, although the number of younger people being diagnosed is increasing year on year, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this and come on and talk to people about it. Chemical and surgical menopause is very underrepresented in the media, in terms of resources and things that are out there. In my prep work, I just tried to find some stats, but shockingly, there are no actual stats available. Well, not so shockingly, there are no actual stats on this available. What I did find is that around about 40,000 women are diagnosed with estrogen positive breast cancer each year, which is the type of breast cancer that I had. So not all of these will be premenopausal because, cancer cases are more commonly diagnosed in older people, but as we know, a growing number now will be. And also NHS digital data has previously recorded upwards of 660,000 tamoxifen prescriptions, which is one of the drugs that they use to put you into chemical menopause. So even if that was over the course of a whole year, you take one pack a month, you're still looking around about 55,000 women potentially taking tamoxifen. But as I said, the data isn't really out there at the moment to kind of know the ins and outs of how many people are taking it. I just know a lot of people who are.
Bloody hell. So because I think it's really important to talk about our boobs. I myself have had 2 scares, thankfully both times. Well, the first time it was a cyst which they drained, and the second time, by the time I actually managed to get to a bloody doctor or hospital, the lump had dissipated. So I know from my own experience how bloody terrifying that was, and that wasn't cancerous. How did you find that you'd got breast cancer? Was it through searching or was it through a routine checkup? How did you
So I got
discover it?
a bit like you. So I had a cyst in my armpit and got some cream and stuff. It didn't go away. My nan has had breast cancer. My maternal nan had breast cancer a few times, so I knew there was a family history. And I just thought, do you know what? I'm very good at listening to my body. I've always been good at listening to my body. For the record, I've had cancer a few times now, and I've always had it detected, thankfully, very early because I've listened to kind of instincts. I thought I'll go and get it checked. And as part of that, they looked at my family history and said, yeah, do you know, we're just going to give you a mammogram. The cyst was a cyst, as per expected. But what they did find was a tumour. And it was so deep. I had, still have on one side, very large boobs. And so finding a cyst when you've got very large boobs is particularly tricky. They detected a tumour, they detected a few other areas of kind of unstable tissue, sent me off for some biopsies, which, I don't know if you have biopsies, not a pleasant process. It's a bit like a staple gun being shoved into your tit. Um, and then they diagnosed me with stage 2 breast cancer. The tumour came back as cancerous, and I had a few other areas which had precancerous cells. At that point, I decided I was going to have a mastectomy on that side. I thought they said, "Oh, we could take the tumour, and then we could take the." I was like, "Do you know, just take,
Yeah,
no,
take it away.
take it away. Don't need it. Take it away." So I had the surgery. Thankfully, at that time, I didn't need chemo or radio. I had some lymph nodes removed, and everything was checked. Surgery was done. And then they said, as part of this now, because it was a hormone-fed cancer, and what that basically means is that the more hormone you produce, the more the cancer's got to feed off of, so the quicker and larger it can grow. I mean, it was a slow cancer, so I was very fortunate it was a progressive one. But things like being overweight, that increases the amount of estrogen in your body, and therefore you're more likely to get cancer. That's not scaremongering now. I know that's fact.
Yeah.
At the time, I wasn't at my healthiest. Being a mum of 2 kids, you're never at your healthiest generally because you're putting other people first. So they said, right, so we now need to put you into chemical menopause to basically stop feeding the cancer so that it doesn't come back. And the standard treatment for that for menopausal women is to take a drug called tamoxifen,
Right.
and that is what puts you into chemical menopause.
So then, if that puts you into chemical menopause, and I'm so sorry for my naivety, does that mean that you don't go through perimenopause?
I don't really know the honest answer, because I think I had some like perimenopause symptoms before me. I was 40. I think I maybe was teetering with a few
Yeah.
bits and pieces. Although I'm starting to honestly think that some perimenopause symptoms are actually just symptoms of women trying to do it all
Yeah.
and able to, because of the demands of life and things like brain fog. I do think there's like a hormone element, but I also largely think that it's the fact that we have so much pressure on us to be it all, do it all, and all the rest of it, that it makes it very difficult to cope. So I don't know, like, this is the thing, I don't know how different it is to normal menopause and what
Yeah.
I'm seeing. The only difference I do know of is that you're thrust into it with chemical menopause.
Yeah.
No gradual build up. Like when there is with perimenopause, you're like, oh, I'm getting a bit, my periods are spreading further apart, or they're getting heavier, or I'm getting a bit brain foggy, or I'm not sleeping as well, or I'm having a bit of a hot flush. There's, for most normal people, as much as there's a normal thing, it's a gradual process. When it's chemical or surgical, there is no prep. You take the drugs, the hormones go, and then that's it. And the symptoms, it's like one bam, thank you, ma'am. They come at you, and there's no kind of, there's no gradualness of it. And you're still dealing with the aftermath of cancer treatment,
Yeah.
which is huge on its own. And then your body just suddenly goes, whoa, what the hell is happening to me? Um, and yeah, it's a massive shock to the system.
Absolutely, I can imagine. So, do your when you're put into chemical menopause, your periods stop instantly because of the treatment?
I mean, I think again, everybody's different,
Yeah.
and that's the most important thing. I think for any woman to remember in their health journey, irrespective of whether it's cancer, it's something else, whatever, everybody reacts to things differently, and everyone reacts to treatment differently. So as it transpires, my body didn't like the tamoxifen, so it did put me straight into chemical menopause. But it also sent my liver function through the roof, and I developed what they call drug-induced hepatitis. So it's a type of hepatitis that forms because your body says you're taking too many drugs, don't like it, screaming liver. My like levels and stuff, they call them ALT levels, kind of went through the roof, and they were like, okay, so your body can't tolerate the tamoxifen. You've got two choices. Do you not take anything, and then obviously take your chances? Take your chances is a relative term, or do you, and there's another combination, thankfully, of drugs. So I am now taking another combination of drugs, which is a monthly injection that turns my hormones off, and then an anti-cancer tablet that I take on top of that. And touch wood, no hepatitis. My body seems to tolerate it as well as any
Yeah.
woman tolerates one pump full of drugs each month.
Bloody hell! So you've been through it.
Been through it. Yeah, I had to have some chemotherapy and radiotherapy for an unrelated thing at the start of this year as well. So
Yeah,
my
I was going to say I noticed on your LinkedIn that you'd been talking, because you talk very openly about this stuff, which I really think is great, because again, there are so many women out there who, I don't know whether it's burying their head in the sand or just, I don't know. I had a friend recently, Dee, who messaged me, and she'd been for just a general, I think it was a smear test actually, and the doctor said to her, have you ever checked your breasts? And she was like, no, nobody's ever shown me what to do. And I'm like, my friend is almost 40. How has that not been a thing? Like, where I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I was in shock, because as much as it's not a nice experience, either, having a good prod every month, because if anyone's like me, I have very sensitive boobs. So any amount of prodding does then cause tenderness, which then with health related anxiety makes me go, oh shit, was there something? And I just didn't feel it, but I've provoked it. But it just blew my mind.
I think some of it is down to, again, as women, we try and do it all. And it's finding the time to look after yourself and to prioritize the health checks. And, you know, when it's like, oh, I need the dentist, oh, but the kids need, blah, 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 and, you know, they have to go to that appointment, or this and that's happening, or I'm caring for, you know, a mother or a mother-in-law, and that takes priority. So as women, I think we're diabolical at putting ourselves first and looking after ourselves. I've had the same conversation with people about smear tests. So I've actually had cervical cancer in the past, at a very, very early stage. It was caught. Again, I listened to my body. I was very fortunate. But I still see loads of women, oh, I don't want to have it done. Oh, it's horrible. Yes, do you know what? It's bloody horrible. No one in their right mind wants to go and have a smear test done. But you still have to have it. And I mean, not being dramatic, but mine are worse than most people's now, because I've had a lot of my cervix removed. So the tiny portion that some stupid male doctor thought, oh, well, we'll just leave that little bit there after I had a surgery to remove most of it. I still have to have it checked every 3 years. So, you know, it's a, yeah, anyway, there's on that road. But no one likes to think about anything happening to themselves. And as you know, we do think we're invincible to a certain extent. That's why we don't look after ourselves.
Absolutely. You've just reminded me. I had my reminder for my smear this week as well, so I need to book my appointment. But again, it's something I've done since the minute I was able to have a smear. I've always routinely had mine, because for me, yes, it is like you were saying, it's horrible. It's not a nice experience, but ultimately, I'd rather go through that than to end up in a worse situation.
Yeah, and there was a really hard-hitting NHS campaign. I'm not sure if you remember it, a few years back. And there was like a child sitting crying on the stairs, and it was my mum's missed her smear test. Now I miss my mum.
Yeah.
That, and you know, the NHS has done some fantastic work in trying to increase the number of women who are going for these important tests. But people, I mean, they miss mammograms because, oh, I don't want to get my boobs out in front of a stranger. Mate, that is the least of your problems. Like, honestly. And they have, I know everyone says they have seen it all. You know, I have had doctors poking at every part of my anatomy.
Every orifice.
Do not bat an eyelid now. You know, if someone's coming down and saying, you need to take top off, I'm just like, yeah, okay, fine.
It's the best way to be, honestly.
I don't care. I mean, I've had a mastectomy on one side. I did initially have reconstructive surgery and it didn't work out. I got sepsis, my body hates me, yada yada yada. And they had to take it out. So now I have, like, I call it a FUBI, fake booby. I have FUBI. But it's great because, you know, people irritate me. I can whip it out and whack them around the head with.
I love that.
I usually launched it across a pub before at one of the sessions. So, you know, every cloud has a silver lining.
Brilliant. So you intimated, I'm going to go off piece a little bit here, but you intimated that you'd had more treatment earlier this year. How are you now? Are you cancer free? Where are you at with your overall health journey?
I am, as far as we're aware, cancer free. Should be cancer free anyway. So it was preventative treatment, not curative treatment. I feel okay. Not gonna lie, I completely underestimated my recovery from this. I'm a really high energy, kind of upbeat person, and I was just like, yeah, I'll bounce back and it'll be fine. That hasn't happened this time around. There are longer term side effects that I will be dealing with quite a while. Radiotherapy wipes the hell out of you, and it's impossible to underestimate that. And just weird things like I have really bad neuralgia in my hands and feet now, so like they'll tingle, and sometimes I'll go and pick something up and I'll just drop it straight away because I can't actually grip it and stuff like that. But every day is a bit different, so there's really good days and I'm like, yeah, I can do everything, and there's other days I'm just like, oh, I'm just so tired and I can't do anything. But again, it's the one thing all of this stuff has really taught me is you've got to listen to your body. Like, you've got to listen to your body, irrespective of how much else you've got going around you, not just in terms of symptoms, but just when you need rest or recovery or, you know, protect your mental peace by cutting out negative people and toxicity, leaving work an hour early and going for a walk, because actually you just need to get out and smell some air and touch some grass and everything.
Hug a tree.
Whatever it is that you need to do, because we only get the one body. And yeah, irrespective of what happens with your health or anything else, you can't pour from that empty cup. You really genuinely can't. I mean, I'm very lucky. My kids are older now. So when I've been going through treatment, although that's had a different impact on them,
Yeah.
mental health and stuff like that, they haven't physically needed me around as much. So I can be like, oh, bro, can you make me a cup of tea and things. So they've been able to help. So I've been really lucky in that respect. But the one thing it's really taught me is we need to just slow our roll and listen to ourselves a little bit more.
And I think that rest piece is so vital, isn't it? Because I'm a doer. I'm not very good at I'm very good at active relaxation. I'm just not very good at rest, like proper rest. And if people have listened to the previous sort of episodes of this, they'll know that I started running earlier this year. And it's only really since I've started running that I now give myself a full rest day a week. And yeah, I might still potter around the house, but you're more likely to find me lying down on the sofa watching shit TV because my body now needs it more than ever. You know, I'm pounding the pavements 3 days a week, as well as running a business and, you know, doing everything else, like you say, that you have to do. And I don't have kids. I don't have the kid factor in my life, you know, so I don't have to throw that in as well, which, okay, makes rest probably easier for me, but I've still had to program it in.
You have to still prioritize it. That's the thing, because whether you've got kids or not, or animals or whatever else, we fill our lives to the brim. And I think that's a modern perception now as well, compared to what it used to be like when, you know, you had stay-at-home mums or whatever. You know, people, they didn't fill their lives. They were quite happy to just not do a lot. Whereas now, the pressure of things like social media, there's always pressure to be doing. What are you doing with your day off? Like, what are you doing today? I hate bank holidays because I always felt like, especially when my kids were small, everyone was like, "What are you doing this bank holiday?" I just want to sit in my pants and watch reruns of Dallas with some ice cream. That's all I like. But people are like, "Well, I'm going to a barbecue and I'm going to the beach and I'm going to here, I'm going to this festival," and there is that kind of external pressure to always be on the go. I'm very pleased to hear you started running, by the way, because I, previous to treatment, I was running like, and I'd only started about a year or so ago as well. And actually, that's really good for your mental health as well, because it just gives you that time on your own to either listen to music really loudly so you can internally scream about your
Yes.
or process kind of what's going on around you.
Absolutely, and it's funny because a few people have said to me, "Oh, now that because I did the Couch to 5K, which using the NHS app, which I can highly recommend as well. That's been a game changer in getting me running regularly. I've tried it, but I've tried various forms of jogging and running before, and it's never worked. But this time, it's properly stuck. And I'm going to lose my trail of thought and where I was going with that. Oh yeah, people now keep telling me now that I've completed the program, go and join a running community, and I'm like, no, I bloody love running on my own.
Run's been good. If you do park run, so that's how I got into it, because I tried 5K a million times and couldn't stick at it. But I started just going to park run, and I just started walking it and then running a little bit of it, and then that's how I eventually sort of got into it. And I do have friends that run like sometimes with me, but when I'm
Yeah.
running, which I'm not at the moment. But then also, like you say, it's something you can do on your own, and it's free. It's
Yeah,
free.
exactly. I mean, that was the biggest lure for me. You know, I don't own millions of pounds being a freelancer. You kind of save money where you can, don't you? You know, I mean, going back to the business side of things. So, throughout your treatment and then the chemical menopause, have you continued working at full capacity during that time? How has your work changed or been affected by the cancer and the menopause?
Just before we do that, I'm looking at my notes. One thing I should just quickly put in is I can't take HRT. So if anyone's listened to this and gone, "Oh, but you're in menopause, just take HRT," because it's a hormone cancer, I can't take HRT ever. So that's not, unfortunately, it means I have to deal with this in an all natural kind of way. There's no medical stuff I can take, which obviously then means things like working and life stuff is challenging. So coming back to the work side of things, it's been up and down, in all honesty. And it's weird because I kind of feel like the universe has conspired to give me a break when I've needed it the most. So I was really quiet at the end of last year, first couple of months of this year. That's when I needed to have chemotherapy and radiotherapy. So I kind of feel like the universe worked with me to go, do you know what? Because I think if anyone who knows me will tell you, I always push myself to the max with everything, and I pushed myself too hard. And if I'd had a load of work, I would have just carried on until I went flat at the end. Whereas this kind of gave me that enforced break without the pressure.
Yeah.
So it has been very up and down. I think the benefit of being freelance obviously means that I've been able to control my diary. Um, I don't honestly know how I would have managed it in a employed environment, because there's scans, there's blood tests, there's appointments, there's follow-ups. Then there's the mental health days where you kind of just you're just on the floor and actually you can't function. And especially my role in health stuff. So like the other day I was writing about colonoscopy and I'm like, oh, that's a bit close to home. You're talking about cancer cells for this and this, that, and the other. And sometimes it's quite triggering what I do for work. So being able to control my diary, control the projects that I take on. And so I was asked to be involved in a cancer clinic project a little while ago, and I just had to say I'm not there yet. Sorry, it's hard enough with social media and the things that you see pop up on your news feed every day, let alone kind of exposing yourself to it on a really deep level. Anyone who's had cancer will tell you that there's a thing called like post-cancer anxiety, or almost like a type of PTSD
Yeah.
that you get, and things trigger that very easily. So I've been really grateful to be freelance, to be able to say, yes, I'm going to work on this project, or no, I'm not, or I'm actually going to take a week off because I just need a week of
Yeah.
time to process and recover and take a break. And I now regularly schedule in more time off than I ever have done over the last couple of years. People are like, oh, you're always going away. I do go away. I go away to switch.
Yeah.
And having that week off every 3 months or so is kind of instrumental to me in my recovery process.
Absolutely. I've always been a once every 3 months girl. Even when I was employed, I used to do it, and then I didn't do it the first year I went freelance, and I massively suffered for it. So I've brought that back into mine now. But this summer, I'm trialing for the first time. I'm taking a week off every month over the summer. Firstly, because I'm not going away this summer, but I love the sunshine. So if the sun is shining next week when I'm off, hallelujah. But every break that I've had so far this year has been filled with doing stuff, and I'm just at that point where I just need to rest. I just want to go and find a beach. I'm lucky enough, I only live like 15 minutes from Brighton, so I just to go and have a few days where I'm sitting on the pebble beach doing nothing. I'd be quite happy.
Having a Pims on Brighton Beach is like one of my good pleasures.
Absolutely. So you obviously can't take HRT. I don't know if you follow a guy on social media called Dr. Sam Watts. He I can't remember his background. I think he did do something to do with cancer, and then he's more moved over into like the perimenopause, menopause sort of space. But he talks a lot about herbal HRT, so obviously like more natural HRT. And I just wondered if that was something that you've looked into, or whether that's still a no-go, or
So you can obviously take herbal bits and pieces. I've tried a few things. My biggest problem is sleep. So I don't sleep very well at all. On average, I wear my Apple Watch to sleep. On average, I get about 5 hours a night, which obviously makes functioning quite difficult. I've managed a broad to get melatonin gummies, which do seem to help a little bit. But weirdly, one of the things I've started doing only quite recently is just breath work to try and catch myself. And actually, it works really well. I went to a wellness festival at the weekend. I've been telling everybody about it. And I went to Reiki and I fell asleep because it was wonderful, and it was just really calming and relaxing. I prefer not to put too many weird things in my body, partly because I'm allergic to everything, and
yeah,
partly because, again, all the history and everything, I just a little bit funny about doing it. So I'm trying to manage with things just like fans, ice packs, drinks for the hot flushes. I've got some nice teas, which are supposed to be quite good for mental clarity. breath work, and just really taking time to listen to my body and what it needs. So resting, I tend to, we're lucky enough to have a bath in our house, which I know a lot of people don't have anymore. Take a long bath and just a bit of time to myself to kind of try and manage those things. Lists upon lists upon lists for organisation. I'm very old school. I'm whiteboards and post-it notes and paper kind of girl. Don't give me a calendar on a phone. I can't work it. I want to see the whole week, and I want to see it here on a big piece of paper, please.
I love that.
There's lots of kind of things that you can do to. It's just a case of finding what works for you. So my friend puts everything in her phone, like obsessed with it. But I'm like, I can't see, and because I've got kids and a husband, so I had like a family planner. So I'm like, so they're there and they're there and there, and it helps me feel more in control. So
Yeah.
as bad as it is, and there's so much Tipex and stuff on my calendar, and my husband John, he's like, why are you bothering updating that? Because it's happening tomorrow. You'll just remember. Because it just helps me to
Yeah.
feel control and organised. And also, if I need to refer back to my memory's shocking. So if I need to refer back to anything, I can go back through the calendar, go, oh, that happened on that day.
Yes.
And again, it's just all part of that kind of organising. I used to be the most organised person in the world, and it used to come really naturally. And now I am so reliant on tools and prompts and alarms and everything to, because I will literally go downstairs and by the time John will say, can you bring me up a can of Coke? Our kitchen's downstairs, can of Coke or whatever. I'll go downstairs, get distracted, do something, come upstairs, and he's like, looks at me, and I'm like, oh shit. It's that quick, like the brain fog and stuff like that is that bad.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've had a couple of chats this series as well with people who have also been going through an ADHD diagnosis at the same time as going through the perimenopause, which is obviously quite common, it turns out. And I hear similar stories, you know, all the time. And whether it's part of the perimenopause or whether it's a symptom of ADHD, God only knows. You know, the world's just decided to throw everything at us all at the same
I
time.
do fully suspect to have ADHD. Both my kids are neurospicy, so I probably do have ADHD, but it's just like trying to implement structure your own way, whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't matter how weird anybody else thinks it is. You know, if it works for you, then
Absolutely. I mean, people laugh at me now because when I was employed, I was the most disorganized person on the planet. But and I don't know whether again it was I went freelance 5 years ago, so I'd have been late 30s, and I do suspect that I probably have been perimenopausal for a large chunk of my freelance life. So I don't know whether I got organised when I went freelance or whether I got organised because my brain was starting to tell me I was perimenopausal and forgetting things, and instantly I just was like, right, I need a spreadsheet for everything.
so when you're freelance, you are responsible for everything. Do you
Yeah,
know? If you don't do it, it doesn't happen. Whether that's emptying your office bin or invoicing a client for 5 grand or whatever, every little thing. You're the cleaner, you're the PA, you're the worker, you're the CEO, you're the accountant. So you have to put processes.
absolutely.
Be nice to
So
most, but
what strengths have come out of this experience for you? Because it's on the surface of it, it's like when I hear your story, I'm like, that you've been thrown so much shit, but you still seem such a positive person. That I imagine you are the sort of person that has gone, do you know what, this crap has happened to me, but there's been some good stuff too.
so we say this to everybody. Um, life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond to what happens. So you can take all of the shit and you can either get it on you and beat you up, you can just learn to deal with it and use it in a positive way. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do by being open and honest on my social media and things like that to try and raise awareness for people, be a patient advocate. I've actually had people come up to me or digitally come up to me, message me, and say, I've gone and got my boobs checked because of the stuff that you've posted. So to me, that's like, yes, I want to make a difference. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical person. but I can do it through helping people communicate clearly. I can do it with my clients by making sure that they're addressing people in the right way, that they're covering the right type of content. I can do it through putting out positive stories. I can do it by answering messages from people when they go, "Oh my God, how are you managing the hot flushes in this heat?" And I'm like, "Ice packs, baby, get me ice." Yeah, anything I can do, and I'm just trying to put a positive a spin on cancer as anyone can, actually, because there is a lot of shit. And I've had a few people, a few friends of mine have kind of said to me, "You're not being very honest because you only ever talk about positive stuff." I don't only ever talk about the positive stuff, but I refuse to be that person that is constantly whining and going, "Oh, I feel really bad today," or "Oh, like, I've got a really leaky bladder today." And the shit happens, but actually people benefit a lot more from either talking about the shit in a very tongue-in-cheek way, which I tend to do, brutally honest, to the point where hopefully it's funny rather than disgusting. Um, as much as I can be. Yeah, just trying to give it a platform so that people don't feel that they're alone. So we're massively underrepresented as a community, if you want to call it that, of people who are in chemical or surgical menopause. People assume once you've had treatment, you're all right. Okay, she's not got cancer anymore, so she's good. Doesn't quite work like that, and there's not enough information really out there to support you with living with the long-term effects, whether that's what I call anxiety, because actually as a previous cancer patient you have regular scans all the time. Every time you have one you crap your pants because you worry that something's going to be wrong again. Touch wood, nothing will be. Or just, so managing with the side effects of treatment, of like scar tissue from a mastectomy, and people don't talk about what it's like to live with scar tissue. So my Nan had a mastectomy. Back then, they didn't give you physical therapy, so she was never able to raise her arm like above that because of all the scarring. Whereas when I had mine, they now give you physical therapy, which means I can wave my arm around like a loon, and with 10 kilogram dumbbells and all the rest of it. But without those things in place, and if you don't know that they're there and you don't know to ask for them, then you can't rely on the NHS, unfortunately, to be very forthcoming, giving you the things that you need to live a really fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
So hopefully I can kind of shine a light on those a little bit and help other people in a similar situation going forward.
That's brilliant. I mean, it's certainly inspiring listening to you, and I'm sitting here going, I just, even from a personal point of view, want to now do more to help promote it. I might not have experienced it, and touch wood, hopefully I never will, but to be able to actively shout about it for others in my network who might be going through it, that's whether it's sharing your content or other people who are talking about chemical or surgical menopause. Like, it's really important that people know what it is, so that if they do have to go through it, they kind of already have that little bit of insight of going, oh yeah, I've heard of that.
I think there's some communities starting to pop up. I mean, I've been so busy and I had other things going on. I've not lost track, but from what I've seen, there are some communities starting to pop up now for people in that situation where
Brilliant.
go to and say get advice and signposting for. I would like to do more in this space going forward. So I'm really busy at the moment with work, touch wood. So I haven't really had the mental capacity to think about what I want to do and how I want to do it. But it's on my kind of radar, hopefully, going forward. I'd like to do more speaking engagements like this because actually I think having personal conversations is so much more empowering and helpful to people than reading a load of blurb that's on, I say content writers, so maybe I'm doing myself out of a job here to a certain extent. Content is great, but people need to engage with a human that's been through it as much
Yes,
as they do a website or a brochure or a leaf.
absolutely. And if anybody watching this either live or on repeat does have any questions for Dee, then please put them in the comments, and between us we'll make sure that they get answered. So yeah, fire away. Before we wrap things up, Dee, what's one big thing that you want people to know about navigating chemical menopause?
Oh, put me on the spot there. One thing that I want people to, I think it's just that they're not alone, and actually, it's a lot more common than you realise. it can feel really isolating when you have cancer. Although there's all these big cancer communities and things, accessing them when you're feeling overwhelmed is a really difficult thing, especially if you're trying to not trigger yourself, or because everyone's got a different story. And as much as there's brilliant stories out there of people who've made brilliant recoveries, there are also obviously the not so great cases, and they can be really upsetting and triggering. And I think it's just knowing that there are other women out there who are going through a similar thing or have been through a similar thing, and we can help each other. We can talk about it. We can signpost the different things that works. It's almost a bit. My friend sent me this meme this morning, and it was something to do with when you're in your 20s and you go out and you chat with your mates. It's all about boys or hair products or whatever. And now it's like about vitamin supplements and magnesium and weightlifting and all these other things that are designed to kind of support your health. And I kind of that's true now. And I think having those spaces to have those kind of conversations, and also press the shit out of your doctor for support. Like, don't be afraid to make a nuisance of yourself. Yeah. You're never going to get anywhere if you don't. And you know, the NHS is overworked, and understaffed, under resourced, this, that, the other. But you have to advocate for yourself. And if you don't advocate for yourself, you aren't going to get anywhere. So you have to find your voice and kind of not be afraid to use it.
Brilliant. I love that. Thanks ever so much, Dee. And if there are any links to any communities or organisations that you think would be useful for people, if you want to pop them over to me in an email, eventually this series will go on my website and on YouTube, so then I can link in the notes, you know, give people other places to go and explore as well for if they do come across the videos. So that'd be really helpful if you've got time to do that. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Where can, because I know that you've joined through your personal account, where can people join you, come and find out more about you, either online or
easy
website?
stuff, probably LinkedIn. I have got a website, but I'm a bit like a lot of freelancers. I spend more time doing everybody else's work than updating my own website. And so you can search up my name on LinkedIn, and I will pop up. I have got a work Instagram page. Not that I'm not very good at using it particularly, unfortunately. It's another thing to do. My website is wickedcreative.co.uk. You can email me. You can find me around. I'm sure someone can point to me. So, however you want to contact me is absolutely fine, but most people come via LinkedIn.
Excellent. And I'm connected to you already on LinkedIn, I think. So if anyone can't find Dee, come and find me, and you'll be able to find Dee through my contacts. Thank you again ever so much. That's been really, really insightful. I've learned so much today that I feel like I need to just go and take 10 minutes to just process, but that's been really, really helpful. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, and for wrapping up our series, because it's been a great series. I've chatted to so many brilliant women, and this won't be my last Instagram live series. I will do another one. I don't know what the theme will be yet. Maybe something slightly different.
It's heavy for the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to kind of shine a light on this, and raise a little bit of awareness, and hopefully give people some insight and maybe a few giggles today.
Absolutely right. I mean, similar to you, you know, I'm very much in the health and well-being space, so it's I know the importance of having these conversations. And like I said to you at the beginning, you know, I work with a lot of businesses who are in the health and well-being sector and talk about perimenopause and menopause, but even through their content, I knew nothing about chemical menopause. So, and I've learned literally something new from every single one of my guests I've had on this series. So it's been brilliant. Thank you to all of my previous guests. Thank you, Dee, again for joining me today. And I'll catch up with everyone else really soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.